Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Another wonderful day of Tum and Tahara, day 6. Tomorrow's the last day, so if you love this stuff, Chaparayin. Lili Nishmas Imi Merasi Rusbas Mordechai. Today's shir is being sponsored by Tzvi and Chana, or Hannah Fine. Sponsoring today's shir in memory of their son-in-law, Alan Braverman's 4th yard side. Eliezer Yehuda ben Yaakov v'Freda. May his neshama have an aliyah. Amen. I'm not celebrating. Today's my 400th day straight of giving a shir. I am not celebrating. I celebrated, a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I don't even remember, with my Panovich math. A quick announcement. I noticed, if you go to Moshel on YouTube, forget about Kol Shon for any time, our app, all Daf, but just YouTube.
A few moments later.
We have to go to the Beis Medrash. That's the bottom line, right? The Olam and the Beis Medrash. I don't see them, but yeah, we got to go back to the Beis Medrash. It's just atzlus, I guess. Anyways, short story long. So this guy tells me about his charts. I said, let me see your charts. He shows me the charts. They look very familiar. So I tell him, I think I made those charts. He says, no, I get it from a different place. I said, no, but so now I have to sit and argue with him that it's mine. So I said, look in the chart. You see that bobblehead? That's me. No, it's not you, Kitzer. So then I had to show him the cutout and the bobblehead, and then I think afterwards he was masking. Fine. Real quick, we got a Choshev, a Paris Achoidesh, Shia Greenfield, and Yossi Klein. Listen to this. We got a Talmud Chacham sending in here from Lakewood. Dovi Lemmer from Lakewood. I don't know if he's related to Shmooze Lemmer. Why? Adarabba. I tell people, everybody asks me if they can use it. I said, yeah, why not? Torah is Torah. Let it go out there. And what am I going to gain from that? Less people are going to use it. I want more people to use it. All right, listen. It's all about spreading Torah. I'll introduce you to the guy. He lives in this neighborhood. So he writes, hi, I noticed you ripped up the picture of the water being a Rishon. Based on what we've learned that any liquid jump back to a Rishon. In this case, you ripped it in vain. I don't know if he's right, because we're talking about the Raisa. In any case, I'm a Magid Shir on the Daf. Oh, you hear this from Magid Shir. Is this guy related to you, Shmuley? Just thumbs up. Duvi Lemmer from Lakewood. Givaldik. Okay, he's related to him. Shmuley Lemmer from Kensington is related to Duvi Lemmer. Do you get him? You got him to come to the shir? Whatever. In any case, when there's a Gemara I don't fully understand, that when I only have a short time to prep after a long day of work, it's your shir I turn on. Thanks, Eli, in best regards to Shmuley Eliwat. So you know Shmuley Eliwat also. Happy Chanukah. Now, he talks about the question that we had on Chanukah, oil and Tumah. I discussed that in the shir that according to Rav, is based with Bechai, so it's not a shayla at all, according to Levi. Levi goes like Shmuel, so then he goes to the riddle. Some people are asking about the riddle. So there's 10 piles of 10 books in each pile, and every book weighed 1 pound, but one pile, the books weighed 2 pounds, and you could put it on a scale. How do you know what it is? Answer is very pashut. Let's say, I'll take the example of just three piles. So you take from pile number 1, you take 1 book. And from pile number 2, you take 2 books. And from pile number 3, you take 3 books. Now, if each book only weighed 1 pound, you should have a total of 9 pounds. But if you have a total of 10 pounds, then it's from pile number 1. If you have a total of 11 pounds, it's from pile number 2, and etc. Fine. That's it for today. Thank you. Hope you have see you one day. Duvi Lemmer, Lakewood, New Jersey. All right, here we go. It's still not good, Zoom? Shvachem Isis? No, I'm saying thumbs up because he lives right next to me. So maybe because the airwaves go quicker to him. Fine. We're holding Daf Yomi Amud Beis. Chai. 2, 4, 6, 8 lines from the bottom. So just a quick review. We're talking about Shitas Rabbi Yossi. There's a bunch of Shitas here, but we're talking about these main Shitas. Rabbi Yossi says that if a sheretz touches mashkim, the mashkim become tamei midoiraisa, and they have the power to be metama food midoiraisa, but not kalim. So the Gemara says, how does he know it? He knows it from his Rebbe, Rebbe Akiva, a whole drasha, yitma, yitama. It's only metama food, not metama kalim, etc. So the Gemara said yesterday, this is how we finished off yesterday. Rabbi Yosi doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva doesn't hold like Rabbi Yosi. We start off the sugya that Rabbi Yosi goes in the sheet of Rabbi Akiva. No, they don't hold with each other. And therefore, Rabbi Yosi is just saying over what his Rabbi Akiva holds. He himself doesn't hold like that. So now we're going to discuss how do we know and why is it that Rabbi Yosi doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva, and Rabbi Akiva doesn't hold like Rabbi Yosi. So I know one direction. Rabbi Yosi doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva. Because we learned, so we go back to this chart. Avi Avaisatuma is a dead body. Avatuma is a sheretz, or a person who touched the dead body, or a person who himself is a zav, a nida. Avatuma that touches a kli or another person, that becomes a rishon. A rishon that touches food, let's say kli touches food, oichel, or it becomes a sheni. A sheni that touches truma. Now this is what we're talking about today. If a sheni touches only truma, then it becomes a shlishi. And if it touches kachim, the shlishi touches kachim, kachim is so sensitive and so susceptible to tuma that it becomes a revi. But chulin does not become a shlishi, does not become a revi. The most it can become is a sheni. So it says like this. How do I know that this is a concept at all? That we go all the way down to this level in kachim. You can make a revi. Vidinhu kavachomer. I worked on this chart for a long time. It took me over an hour or so. Here's a bobblehead that went to the mikveh. Why? Because this is a tful yom. Tful yom means somebody that is tamei and goes to the mikveh. You see? He's sneezed. I didn't want to, he's wearing a towel. After he goes to the mikveh, he has a new status. He gets rid of most of his tumah, but he's still slightly tamei. He's called a tful yom until nightfall. And the halacha is that he's allowed to eat, he doesn't do anything to chulin, but he's not allowed to eat truma. Truma is sensitive, don't touch truma until after nightfall. Now there's something else, called mechusar kippurim. Mechusar kippurim is someone, let's say a woman who gives birth has to bring a carbon. When on day 80 at night, after day 81, brings a carbon. Until that point that she brings a carbon, she's considered a mechusar kippurim. She's missing out from her kapara. A man has to bring a carbon, a metzora, mechusar kippurim. What's the halacha by him? Truma is allowed. He could eat truma in a mechusar kippurim status at night, after nightfall. Until he could bring the carbon the next morning, he could eat truma, but he cannot eat kachim. So kachim is more sensitive than truma. Truma is more sensitive than chulin. You see that truma is more sensitive than chulin by tful yom. You see that kachim is more sensitive than truma by mechusar kippurim. What does he do the following morning? He brings the carbon. It says over here, nice to meet you, M-E-A-T. And here's the shaychet. He does the shchita, Shalom Yisrael. That's the difference between a tful yom and a mechusar kippurim. Says the Gemara, V'dinu. I have a kavachomer. Here, I'll show you the kavachomer. A mechusar kippurim is allowed to eat truma, but he cannot eat kodesh. So a shlishi, if you go back to this chart over here, shlishi makes truma puzzle. You see, truma. Truma becomes a shlishi. So, if a mechusar kippurim could eat truma, but cannot eat kachim, so shlishi that ruins truma certainly should step it up a step to a revi. Now, stepping up a step is a problem, like we said yesterday. In a kavachomer, you have to remain within your boundaries. You can't go to the next level. That's called dayalav minadin liyos kenida. You could only go up to shlishi. How could I jump from a shlishi to a revi based on logic? That's a new level. So over here, this is where Rashi says, and it's the last words on this Amud. If you look in Rashi, the heicha de mifrach kavachomer loy amrinon dayai. That's why Rabbi Yosi brings a pasuk. He has a pasuk, and since you can't use the kavachomer for the simple thing, you have to use the kavachomer for the next step, And if I don't use the kavachomer because I'm using dayoi ruins the kavachomer, I don't invoke dayoi. I only use dayoi when there's another way out of it. In other words, if I can use the kavachomer for a lower level, so use it for that. And if I want to take the kavachomer and go to the higher level, I cannot because of dayoi. But in our case, I can't use the kavachomer for the lower level because that's already in the pasuk. So I need to use the kavachomer for the higher level. Dayoi cannot ruin a kavachomer. Says the Gemara, Amar Rabbi Yosi, Menayin l'Revi b'kodesh hu pasol v'dinu. Ma mechusik yipum shumut b'truma pasol b'kodesh shlishi shum pasol b'truma and idin sheyase Revi b'kodesh. Certainly, a shlishi should make a Revi. So that's how I know that a Revi makes is pasol. V'lomadnu shlishi b'kodesh min ha-Torah. That's Rashi's. That's the dogish that Rashi is trying to point out here. Why does he say v'lomadnu shlishi b'kodesh min ha-Torah? Rashi is trying to say that because it's shlishi min ha-Torah, so I don't need the kavachomer only for a revi, and therefore I can't say dai love min adin li'iskinid. So it's the aside for all of Shas. We have to remember this Rashi Daf Amud Beis. You don't say dai love min adin li'iskinid to ruin a kavachomer if there's no kavachomer left over. If I could have the kavachomer to use it for a lower level, then I'll use it. But in this case, since there's a pasuk for the lower level, then I have to use the kavachomer for the higher level. Revi mi kavachomer. Shlishi min ha-Torah, how do I know the concept of shlishi in the Torah? The chsiv, v'habasar sheyiga b'chol tomei lo yeyachal daf Amud Aleph. If you remember yesterday, we had this pasuk. Kol shebetoichai. No, is that the pasuk? Not really. V'habasar sheyiga b'chol, maybe not. But the point is, look, you have here, this thing creates a sheni, and the sheni creates a shlishi. So you see from the Torah that this is called Tamei, a sheni, that the shlishi touched the sheni. So we see the concept of shlishi in the Torah. Revi, although Revi is not in the Torah, mikavachomer, kidam. Now, here's where it gets very interesting because the Gemara doesn't say any of this, but you have to go to Rashi for the next few steps. Nisni nami revi batruma v'chamishi b'kodesh. So, if Rabbi Akiva agrees to Rabbi Yosi that you say this kavachomer, where is it? Rabbi Yosi invented this kavachomer. Rabbi Yosi doesn't hold that there's a shlishi in chulin. Rabbi Yosi holds there's only a sheni in chulin. So in Mela, Rabbi Yosi has this kavachomer. He starts it off by mechuzah kippur. But if Rabbi Akiva holds like Rabbi Yosi, we're trying to prove Rabbi Akiva doesn't hold like Rabbi Yosi, and Rabbi Yosi doesn't hold like Rabbi Akiva. So it's the same kavachomer, just with taking it up a step. Says the Gemara, but if Rabbi Akiva holds of this whole kavachomer concept, then I have a problem. Why? Well, look, it's full yom. A guy goes to the mikveh after he's tummy, and he's just waiting for the nightfall. If he touches chulin, no problem. But he cannot touch truma. So a shlishi, which ruins chulin, certainly it should make a revi. Okay, and if I take that kavachomer, let's take it up a step, and let's say, so mechusar kippurim, because now I know revi. From this kavachomer, I know revi. So now, a mechusar kippurim who's allowed to eat truma. What's a mechusar kippurim? He's not waiting for nightfall. It's already nightfall, but he has to bring his carbon. And he can't bring the carbon until morning. You can't check the carbon at night. So during that period of time, the night, after nightfall, until the morning we can bring his carbon, he's allowed to eat truma, but he cannot eat kachim. Yeah. On
the last chart, you just said a shlishi ruins chulin?
No.
That's what you just said. Bring that back.
This chart? A tful yaim could eat chulin, but he can't eat truma. So a shlishi that, yes. According to Rebbe Akiva says a shlishi ruins chulin. This is Rebbe Akiva. So memela, it should certainly make a revi. Yeah, I did say that. Shkoyach. Because Rabbi Yosi says, everybody holds, we hold. Look at this chart. Where's that chart? a sheni, a shlishi could only ruin truma. Okay. And for this, I have to lose weight, Rabbi Isai, because, the stomach, it's over, but it's not really, it's just the shirt, it looks like it. So, you hear what's going on here? From here, I learn that a shlishi can make a revi when it comes to truma, and from the next kavachayim, I learn that a revi can make a chamishi when it comes to kachim. That should be what Rebbe Akiva says, but he doesn't say that. If Rebbe Akiva holds of these kavachaymers, he should use it all the way, according to his shita. Rabbi Yossi used it from a sheni to a shlishi, so Rebbe Akiva, who starts off at a shlishi, should just take it up a notch and go from a shlishi to a revi. That's all the Gemara is saying, very simple. But he doesn't say that. So maybe they don't all love each other. Says the Gemara, V'isol kadaitach, 3 lines down from the top. V'isol kadaitach savak Rebbe Akiva. If Rebbe Akiva holds like Rebbe Yossi, nisne nami revi betruma b'chamisha b'kodesh. Take it up a notch. Elo Rebbe Akiva lo savak Rebbe Yossi minolan. Okay, and now, Elo Rebbe Akiva lo savak Rebbe Yossi minolan. How do you know this? Amalei the lo lishtamit tana v'lisne revi betruma. There's no place in the world that we have this chart. If you look at all the charts in the world, even the guy from England, his chart also says that a sheni makes a shlishi in truma, but no further. You can't make a shlishi can't ruin chulin. Only a sheni can ruin chulin. So since we don't know about this, it can't be the Rebbe Akiva holds of it. And if you see such a chart, say the whole goes according to Rebbe Akiva. Says the Gemara, that's your only logic? That you never heard of it? Says the Gemara. Now, Rashi points out very, very important. Rashi just points out, why doesn't Rebbe Akiva say this kavachomer? Says Rashi, because a Mechusar Kippurim and a Tvul Yom, both of them, they're avatumas. They start out as avatuma. They have tuma. Yes, they went to the mikvah, but they started out as a av, and therefore they have a lot of power. They could ruin truma. They could ruin kachim. You see the two things that they could ruin: kachim and truma. But a shlishi and a revi are not avatuma. They're shlishi. So Mamela, that's why Rebbe Akiva doesn't hold of these kavachaymers. Fine. Says the Gemara, Nafak Rav Ashi v'Teimer Rav Kahana Dok v'Ashka. What do you say? You're saying you never found a chart that has Rebbe Akiva's name attached to it, or anybody's name attached to it, that says that a shlishi, the low-level shlishi, could ruin just a regular piece of fruit. We only know that a sheni could. In fact, Rav Kahana went out and found something, but he found the wrong thing. He found that Rebbe Akiva says that it stops at a shlishi, that a shlishi doesn't. Let's see. This na anakli mitzaref es mashe b'toichel lekodesh, avaloi letruma. So halacha number 1 is, it's not that important to our sugya, but let's say you have a kli, and in one side of the kli you have a piece of kachim, and the other side of the kli you have a piece of kachim, and somebody who's tamei goes ahead and touches this piece, even though, so this piece became tamei. This piece is not going to make this kli tamei to make this piece tamei. This piece also becomes tamei. The second piece becomes tamei. Why? Because it's tziruf. They're all in one kli. I touched this, I touched that. It's kilo, I touched it. Okay, so that's the basic halacha. And then it says, and this is what's important to us. So it says, Mashe b'toichel kodesh. If it's kachim, the other one becomes tamei. Avaloi letruma. This trick doesn't work by truma. And then it says what we're looking for. V'revi b'kodesh pasul. It stops at a revi when it comes to kachim. V'ashlishi b'truma, and a third level of truma. It doesn't go further. Now, if I know that the first part, that this traf thing is Rebbe Akiva, so Memela, the second part is also Rebbe Akiva. And we see mefurish that Rebbe Akiva doesn't hold that it goes weiter, like we wanted to say. This whole Mishnah is Rebbe Akiva. His testimony in Edius. The Sanya, Rebbe Akiva has soilas, v'aktoires. Soilas is the flour, not the fine flour, but the really good flour that you use for a mincha. V'aktoires, we know what ktoires is. V'alavoina, frankincense. This is Nachman Seltz's favorite word. He loves. I couldn't say it for a year. We were learning menachas, frankincense. Frankincense. Halavina, it's something you take a teaspoonful, a spoonful, and you put it on the mincha, v'agechalim. Now, what's important is that the levine and the gechalim are not edible. And it says that Rabbi Kiva added, so let's say here in this picture, not important, over here you have soilus. Now soilus, there's billions of soilus here. If I touch this soilus over here that I never touched, which is a 100, not a sheni or shlishi, and not a chamishi shvi shvi, but it's a millionth away. One touched the other, that touched the other, that touched the other. Yet everything is tamei. Gechalim, the coals that are not edible, if I touch this coal over here, and I need these coals for my ketairis, so this coal over here becomes tamei. I can't use it for ketairis. Shemnagat ful yoim b'miktsasam pasels kulon. So it says mafurish. Revi in chamishi loy. It stops. The end of the line is revi by kachim. That's the most that could be metama kachim is a revi. And chamishi not. So you see that there's no kavachomer. Rabbi Kiva doesn't hold this kavachomer Rabbi Yosi to keep on going to chamishi. And shlishi, when it comes to truma, in revi loy, and it doesn't go up another level. Fine, that's it. We're done. Pretty much done now. We're just gonna button up some things that we did, but we're done with the kavachomer and the tuma and the taira. Alma kasavar tzir of the rabbanon. So the Gemara says, from the fact that Rabbi Kiva added coals and levina that are not edible, this whole idea of tuma, one is matam the other, only applies to food, but not to non-edible things. And memela, this idea of tziruf has to be the rabbanon. Upligi the Rav Chanan, the Amar tziruf the Oiraisa. Chanan argues. Rabbi say, you're not going to believe this. You're not going to believe it. What's tonight? Chanukah. And what's the correlation between today's daf and Chanukah? Shenemar, kaf achas asara zahav meleo ktoires. What? To understand this sugya? Even Mati understands this sugya. What are you talking about? How do you not understand this sugya? Mati the tshuva, he's back. All right. Anyways, tomorrow and every day of Chanukah, we're going to be saying this pasuk. Kaf achas asara zahav, right? Every day. A pasuk from Chanukah, unbelievable. Kitzer, so you see that everything that's on the spoon, kaf achas, whatever's on the spoon, is considered one. Mileik toires. Hakosav also kol mashe bekaf achas. So that Rabbi Chanina says, Rabbi Chanan says that it's a doiraisa. Rabbi Kiva holds it's the rabbanon because Rabbi Kiva added the rabbanon halachas, gechalim and levina. Not also. Geshmak sugya. Al machat shenimtzes babasar. You find a needle in the meat. Find the needle right through. So in other words, you shechted an animal, you cut it open, and you find the needle. Now what? Shasakin vayodayim tahirois. So they made the rabbanon gzeira that your hands are tummy. You have to wash your hands so you could eat truma. That you're not going to mess up the truma. So they started from Shlomo HaMelech. They added kachim. They went to truma. Vayodayim tahirois. You're not tummy if you're opening, you're cutting up the meat and you find this needle. Nintzis beperesh. In other words, the needle didn't touch the actual meat of the animal. It's still in the kishkis of the animal. I was going to get a picture, but I decided against it. We already brought down the share to whatever. But perish. Hakol tar. Tar. Why? Because it never touched the meat. Omer Rebbe Kiva, Zochinu she'ein tumas yodayim b'migdash. We are so lucky that there's no tumah of the hands in the Beis Hamikdash, because if there was tumah, you know how many animals we'd have to toss out? It would be a major problem. So Baruch Hashem, the Rabbanon weren't geyser tumah of the hands. How does it work? I mean, you wash your hands. You do whatever you need to do in order to make sure that your hands are tar. And if you are Mesiach Das for a moment, you forget, you don't know, maybe you touched yourself, you touched a covered place under your sleeve or something, you don't know. That's it. You have to wash again. The tummy. Tummy with the Rabban until you wash again. So can you imagine people walking around the Beis HaMikdash with the nervin, and I don't know, I think I was Mesiach Das, I wasn't Mesiach Das, toss this animal, toss that animal. It's a balagan. Zochinu she'ein tumas yadayim b'mikdash. By the way, I just want to point out here, it's just going back a few lines. If you look at 5 lines from the bottom of Rashi, I just thought it's a beautiful lashon in Rashi. I liked it. He says, "B'lashon acher shamati yored le'imke tahaim." I heard a pshat that's so deep, it goes into the depths of the world, the deepest depths. V'efshar lahamidoy. I loved it. I thought it reminded me in yeshiva. There's always in every yeshiva there's this one magid that nobody understands. So the guys would always say, he's so deep. He's mamish the deepest magid in the world. It takes 6 to 7 years to even start understanding what he says. You just have to stick it out. What? He pushes. He doesn't know how to explain. Maybe no. He's deep. He's very deep. You just are big shaited that you don't understand it. Fine. Anyways, Rashi says that. Rashi says it's so deep that it's not a good pshat. It's very deep. It should stay deep down. You can't explain it. It's not negeh. But anyway, fine. Daf Yomi Amud Beis, sponsored by Lilu Nishmas Ruchama Chaya Fruma Aleh Shalom Bas Reb Doiv Pinchas Yibadal L'Chaim Tovim. It's another young person that was nifter here. The fines also seemed like I have to speak to Dani. What's going on over here? It shocked me when I read it, but I don't want to make a whole thing out of it. Rabbi Chil Shraga ben Avram Halevi Olav Shalom. The second sponsor, Menachem Mendel ben Lilu Nishmas Menachem Mendel ben Simcha, by the famous Kalman from the Five Towns, and Uri, his son, that's learning the daf. Remember, Rabbi Isai. Third sponsor by the Fine, again the Fine family, the Fine and Pearl families in the Schus of Refuah Shlema for Mindel Elka Bas Edel. Everybody should have Refuah Shlema. All the Neshama should have an Aliyah. Yeah.
You know how you love planes?
Yeah.
Ben Klein put Alan Braverman, the person that Sweet Fine is doing the thing in memory of.
Yeah.
One of his last wishes before he passed away recently was to go on a private jet. He flew him on a private jet.
Ben Klein has one of those jets. What is it called? He bought a $1.5 million jet. It's supposed to be a very Eclipse. It's called an Eclipse. And Lamaisa wasn't able to fly. He never got an IFR. He could only fly a VFR. Whatever. We'll talk about it a different time. IFR is to fly with instruments. And all these planes, if you can't fly with instruments, just visual, then it's worthless. Bekitzer.
From a chesed perspective, he didn't know the guy.
He took him up. That's what okay, beautiful. You'll tell me the mice. I want to hear what happened to the fine son-in-law. Hold up. Yeah. So, lost my track here. So, at the end of the day, we're saying that you find a needle in a piece of meat in kachim in the Beis HaMikdash. The hands are tar, the meat is tamei, the hands are tar, the knife is tar. Says the Gemara, from here you see that maybe this knife that's tar, there's no tumah. In other words, there's no tumah midirabanan, tumah that comes through liquids that's only mitama midirabanan. It doesn't exist in the Beis HaMikdash. Omer Rav Yehuda, hold on. Was is Geshenda? This is not good. Oh. Omer Rav Yehuda, Omer Rav, Vitem Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina, Yodayim koidim gzeras kelim nishnu. What happened was, when Chanina was talking, there was only gzeira on hands. There's no gzeira on kelim. The Rabban of kelim came on a later period. Yodayim, like we said, started way before, from Shlomo HaMelech still. So Mela, that's why he didn't mention anything on kelim. Or it didn't exist then. V'temer Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina Yadayim koidim gzeras kelim nishnu. Omer Rava, v'tarvayu boy bayayim gazru. See, I didn't see this Gemara yesterday when I was saying it. Remember that Gemara that said the other day, boy bayayim always means the day that Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah became the Nasi. Over here it says boy bayayim. But obviously, there's many times in Shabbos say boy bayayim doesn't mean that day. Because over there it's obvious, we're talking about Masechet Shabbos, boy bayayim. when they were in the attic of, who was it? Hananiah ben Chizkiah ben Garain. And they made the Shmooze, so it was like the time that Beishamai had more than Basil, and they decided to take advantage, and they made 18 Xeris. Boy Bayayim, that day, it says, it was at the time of that Xera. It's not a Sefer Torah. What happened was people, Rashi brings it down, and we remember from Shabbos, people were silly. They would take they had a safe with a Sefer Torah in there, and they would try to hide their food from Ganavim. I don't know, the safe is a great, so the mice would come into the safe and eat the food, but on the way also eat their Sefer Torah. So they made a special Gzeira that the Sefer Torah, if you touch it, you become a sheni. It's a sheni l'tuma. So in Mela, people would be careful not to hide things next to it because they didn't want to become tamei. The food, they didn't want the food to become tamei. You believe it's like writing chol stam on Gzeira, like whatever. Fine. Protect your Sefer Torah. How? By saying that the food becomes tamei. Vayadayim and the hands. Vatul yaim. We're not going to talk about that. Va'achlim. Va'kelim shenitbu b'mashkin. So it all happened in one day. All that was part of the Shmooze Xeris. So Yadayim and Kalim the same day. Elam Arava Hanach L'Tum Masakin. Forget about the knife. Forget about the Beis Hamikdash. It was a special thing in the Beis Hamikdash. There was no tum in the knife. No, even in your own house it would be tummy. Why? What did the knife touch? Did the knife touch this piece of meat? It's just food, and food can't make a kli tamei. Should we go back to this chart? What makes a kli tamei? A abatuma, a sheretz, or a person that touched the mace, but not a kli, not another. We had the whole sugi yesterday, right? Kli is not mitame kli. Why kli mitame kli? Now, just real quickly, if you look at Tosfos, dibur maskil ain't kli mitame kli. V'lesla de Rav Yehuda demukil machat tamei mace. In a second, we're going to see that the needle is either a needle that touched a dead body. That could, says Tosfos, be matam another kli. That's important to know, just for pshat. There's two tirutzim in the Gemara soon. We're going to see in a second. One is that this needle is avatuma, and one is that it's not. It's just a suffix. So we can't say it's avatuma because then it would have the power to be metama something else. Says the Gemara. So therefore, says Rava, this knife doesn't become tamei. What kind of needle are we talking about? We don't know the tuma. There's no tuma. It says that if you have roik is spittle, the spit of a zav. Let's go back to the chart for a second. Nacham on the chart. This guy is a zav. He's an avatuma. His spit is like him. It doesn't go down a level. His spit is a zav. You touch the spit, it's as if you touch the zav, you become a rishon. Avatuma makes a rishon. So if you find spit in Yerushalayim, don't worry about it. It's not the spit of a zav. We're not geyser on it. So therefore, Safek Kalim also, next line, Safek Kalim, we're not geyser. So you can't tell me it's a suffix. I don't know if it's tamei. I do know it's tamei. Or Rabbi Marav. Kigoin, it's not a suffix at all. You know what happened? I know 100% that this needle touched a corpse. Kigoin she'avdalei machat tmei meis. So now I'm sorry, not the needle touched the corpse. There was a person, a tmei meis, a guy that touched the body. This guy touched the dead body, so he becomes avatuma, and he touched the needle. The needle became a rishon. Vikir b'basar. And he found it. Here it is. It had a little red dot on top, and he didn't know where it went, and now he found it. Boop, here it is. So he knows for a fact, this needle is tamei. No. Says Robin, this chasuma, I couldn't find a good picture of a cow like this. Pretend it's a cow, it's black and white, German Shepherd. Chasuma means it simply could not eat all the way from outside, from Bet Shemesh all the way to Yerushalayim. And Memela what? You shech this animal, you cut it open, you find the needle. That tells me, yes, it's in the Beis Hamikdash, but that tells me that needle originated outside of Yerushalayim. And outside of Yerushalayim, it's Safek Kalim, and it's Tamei. Yeah? Who's that? Noam? Fine. But at the end of the day, it's only a Rishon. A Rishon doesn't make a person Tamei, and that's why he's not Tamei. Gufa Rebbe Lezer Rebbe Yossi Rebbe Chanina. Chadom alei goz v'al Safek Harokim B'Yerushalayim, v'chadom alei goz v'al Safek Hakelim B'Yerushalayim. One says, a big chiddush. If you find spittle in the middle of the street in Yerushalayim, you don't know if it came from a Zav or a regular person, garnished. Nothing. And if you find there's a Kli, you don't know if Tomei not Tomei, it's Yerushalayim, we're not Geyser. Says the Gemara, what's the big chiddush? Rukin Tanina. We already learned it. Kalim Tanina. It's already a Mishnah. They're both Mishnais. So what are they coming to be Mechadish? They're repeating a Mishnah. Rukin Tanina, where do we say Roik, spittle? This is not. Kol HaRoik and Imtzayim B'Yerushalayim Tohirim. It says Mefurish. Where in Shkolim? If you find spit in Yerushalayim, it's tar. Chutz Mishal Shuka Elyon. There was a special marketplace that all the Tmeim used to go there. I don't want to give any mashalim. Gedalia knows what I'm talking about. There's a special place. All the oisvarvs, they're not oisvar, nevachs. The zavim, they have a bodily injury or not injury. They have some machla. It's a ziva, it's a machla, and that gives off tumah. They hung out in the Shuk Elyon. So if you find it over there, be careful. So Melo, what is he coming to Mechadish? L'tzricha avagav this chazik zav. The chiddush is in another case. When a zav, you see a zav, it says on his forehead, I'm a zav. You see him walking by, and a minute later you see spit on the floor. No, maybe it's from him, maybe not. There's a good reason to believe it's him. No, it's Yerushalayim. We're good to go. Kalim Tanina, and what was the big chiddush that if you find the Safek clean Yerushalayim, it's tar. We learned this nan. Kol HaKelim and Tzar Yerushalayim. Derech Yerida Lebeis HaTefila. Oy vavoy. Hold on a second. I gotta do something because I forgot to print this picture, but it's very important. It's not that important, but there we go. I just messed up.
It would be even if it's not in Shusarabim. Anyway, subject to under Shusarabim is Tahar, no?
What? Why is it Rosh Hashanah? Who said it's Rosh Hashanah?
You're saying he was walking in the street.
Yeah. You know what happened? Mamish, I deserve it. It's the funniest thing. Okay. Okay, forget it. It wasn't meant to be. You know what? I'm gonna be stubborn, and I'm gonna.
Eventually.
What happened was that. Let me get back to my screen here. See the oil. Okay. No, some guy sent me an email of this picture, and I was looking for this picture online. I couldn't find it. Sent me a shvacha picture, and I told him I don't want to use your picture. I have my own picture. So then I went and I printed it, a whole maisa, and I didn't print it. I put it on my computer. Now I just pushed print. V'lo alach. I have to do it in a way that nobody sees the other stuff. Chas v'shalom. Here we go. Here's the picture that right over here. I took it myself. I liked it a lot. Basically, it's a mikvah, an antique mikvah in Eretz Yisrael that has two staircases. One is to go into the mikvah, and one is to come out of the mikvah. I'm not sure that's exactly what the Gemara is saying, but it's close. That what? It's not. If you're going down into the mikvah, either a staircase or even, let's say, a path that goes into the mikvah, but everybody uses this path to go to the mikvah, and everybody's carrying their tamei kalim, then we know that it's a tamei kli. So if you find the kli, it's tamei. So if we stop right here, meaning that if you find the kli anywhere else in Yerushalayim, it is tar. Because it says, only going down this staircase. If I go down this staircase, then it's tummy. Hadalma Tahirim. But anywhere else in Yerushalayim is tar. Says the Gemara, but what's your big raya? On the way up from the mikvah, it's tar. Mashma, just do the reverse. Only on the way up the staircase, you're tar. But anywhere else in Yerushalayim, you're tummy. So b'kitzur, you can't learn anything from this Mishnah. Hold on with me. El Reisha Dafka. So no, you'll say no. The Reisha is a good diuk. That what? Anywhere else in Yerushalayim is tummy, is tar. Dafka going down is tummy, but anywhere else in Yerushalayim is tar. V'seifa lav dafka. And to say that only coming out of the mikvah is tar, but the rest of Yerushalayim is tummy, we're going to ignore. Ulafuki gazyasa. That what? There's a path leading to the mikvah. This paths, little paths going. Not the direct path, but next to it. Now, obviously, we know that the kalim, you find the kli on that path. What is it? Tamei or tar. Is it going to the mikvah or coming back from the mikvah? One thing we know for sure, that at one point in time, this kli was tamei. Because people walking down the path, to get to the mikvah, you have to bring a kli that's tamei. To come out, it's tar. But we don't know if it made it to the mikvah. But it 100% was tamei. So you prove to me that it went to the mikvah and became tar. It's up to you. This kli has a chazaka that it's tamei, because it's on the path. And on the path, people bring kalim to the mikvah. Now it's possible that it went into the mikvah and came out of the mikvah, but I don't know that. Prove it. So mele it's tamei. According to Rav, that says that this needle is 100% tamei, because why? I recognize it, and it touched a person that was tamei meis. Remember this halacha? Any piece of metal that touches the original becomes like the original. So if a person touched the needle, a tmei meis touches a needle, what does the needle become? It becomes a tmei meis. It's not a rishon, it's a tmei meis. It goes up a level. The piece of metal is like the dead person. So this needle should have the power to be metama humans. We're talking about the Beis Hamikdash. People come in and out from all over the world. It has halacha versus rabbim. So then this is a suffix. I don't know if I touched the needle or not. I found the needle. I don't know if I touched it. So therefore it's tar. So you're telling me it's because it happened in the Azara. But let's say it didn't happen in the Azara, so it'd be tamei. So now we're going into another thing. Do we have a minute here? In Tuma, we compared everything to a saita. And a saita, she knows what's going on. You could ask a saita, were you misyachad with this person? Not misyachad, but you could speak to her. She has das. So Mela, when it comes to Tuma, you have to have das. We'll qualify this. What does it mean? You can't ask a needle a question. You can't say, are you tummy or not? So So any object that you can't speak to, you can't ask, doesn't have intelligence, then the suffix is automatically tar, even if it's in Rosh Hashanah. So why are you telling me Rosh Hashanah should be tummy? Says Gemara Mishum, they have a suffix tuma haba b'dei adam, because a human being brought it there. V'amar Rabbi Yochanan suffix tuma haba b'dei adam. Nishalom aleo, daf chof Amud Aleph on top. Va'afilu b'kli amunach agabi karka kedov sheish b'das l'shal. Says Rashi, a beautiful thing. If a person is holding a sheretz in his hand and walked over a kli, even though he didn't hold a kli, you hear the chiddush. He wasn't touching the kli, but he went over it with the dead sheretz. That is considered, according to the Gemara, yachal yishal. I could ask the kli. Why? Because I could ask the human being. There's a human involved there. So when is there no human involved? When you see a kli in the corner and a dead sheretz next to it, so maybe it touched it, maybe it didn't. But when there's a human involved, even when the kli that we're talking about, that might have the suffix on the kli, you're not even holding that kli, it's on the floor, you just walked by it, that's considered human involvement, and that is tamei b'rishus hayachid, not tar Have a wonderful day. Shkoyach, Rabbi Sai, Shkoyach. Freilich and Chanukah, everybody. Freilich and Chanukah.
Eli.
Yeah.
Eli, I need you to do me a big favor.
Yeah.
Today is actually a special day for my nephew.
Yeah. What happened?
It's his birthday.
Ooh.
Is YouTube still on?
Yeah. Still on.
Okay, good. He just announced on the YouTube.
Yeah. How come you don't announce it? Here, I'm putting you on YouTube. You announce it. Here we go. 1 second. Go. Hold on. Where is he? Go. Talk. No?
Ellie, fine. I want to wish you a happy birthday. And I tell you, thank you very much for introducing me to this year. Haslacha Rabba and
1 minute. Tell everybody on YouTube what your name is.
Eli Trapper.
Eli Trapper, big time chacham. He asked me Mordika Kashi yesterday, 2 days ago, and he had his own shot yesterday. You should have been here on Zoom to hear it. Unbelievable stuff. Givaldi.
Happy birthday.
All right, happy birthday. Who is that? Another fine? His name is Fine. Another fine. Today we're full of fines. Yeah.
It's a very fun
Gedalio. Afreilich and Chanukah.
I'm talking about how to really deep market here. That's my market here.
Who's your Maggid Shir?
You don't really understand it.
What's your Maggid Shir? I didn't hear. What?
No, you know how you're saying how there's that market here in every yeshiva where no one understands?
Yeah.
That's my shir.
Me or you in yeshiva?
Me and yeshiva.
He's very deep. Gedali is very, very deep. You just have to understand he's deep. It's not that you don't understand. It's not your chisaron. It's not that you don't understand him. Just understand that he's very, very deep.
He learned by Rav Zvi Kaplan.
Uh-huh. I hear. Mordechai Ashkenazi, I noticed while I was saying that, you related to it. I don't know, I saw Taka, I know what you're talking about. In Mao Yeshiva, we also had a Zag guy.
Mati and I can relate.
Who's Mati?
Mati, Rooster Mati. His new name.
See? Mati, you see that? You're Mechayev all the people. Now everybody, you're the standard. If you can do Tum and Tahira now, everybody can do Tum and Tahira.
I upgraded to 2 coffees now to be able to handle.
I think coffee is very.
No, we don't.
Ellie, when's the fight?
I love the medicine bug. I always wanted that when I was.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. You're out of Vegas.
I said it's
Welcome Hanukkah, Elika. He'll drop it.
As well, forget about it. Ellie,
Yeah.
we should do a faher on the sugya, and whoever does well.
There you go. Thank you, Mordechai. Gets a donut, right?
Pastrami donut.
No, whoever does well, you didn't hear. 10,000 points. What does 10,000 points get you? It gets you the schus to buy donuts for everybody else. You don't get anything. The shear doesn't give you anything. You give the shear. That's how it goes.